ladies, for being here. When I was in the South Carolina legislature, chaired an opioid task force that was our state's response to the opioid epidemic. And at the beginning of every hearing we did, you get into the policy, right? You get into the weeds of where you are and how do you get out of this. But we always started and ended every hearing with the faces and voices of those who are going through this themselves. And so it's incredibly brave for you to be here. Really appreciate you sharing these stories. I know it's not easy to do so, but thank you. Ms. Nungary, your daughter Jocelyn was murdered by Venezuelan nationals who entered the country illegally, and they were released into the country with notices to appear in front of an immigration court. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And one of them had an ICE ankle monitor when he murdered your daughter. This to me is just like incredibly unfathomable that we're allowing these individuals into this country. What does it say about the policies of the Biden-Harris administration? Are there border policies or lack thereof working for the American people?
There's a huge lack for public safety for us U.S. citizens. We should be able to feel safe throughout all cities of the United States, and it is a very, very broken, failed system. And I'm very appalled to be in this country because of how failed it is, especially after losing my daughter. We should be safe, and that shouldn't be a question, that shouldn't be a privilege, that should be a requirement. As a U.S. citizen, we should be safe at all times.
No, I completely agree with you, and unfortunately there are so many that are similarly situated to you and all of you that are going through this. Ms. Nobles, I want to turn to you. The illegal alien who murdered your daughter was an unaccompanied minor when he entered the United States. Once he committed murder, local police were able to determine that he was actually in a gang, MS-13, and had a criminal record in El Salvador. Can you tell us what happened when Martinez became custody of Child Protective Services after he murdered your daughter?
The Aberdeen Police Department asked CPS to put him in a secure location because of the crimes that he was, being what he did. And they agreed to put him in a secure location. When they went to go arrest him, they found out that it was a group home, and he was in a group home with other children. And the local police said, "Oh, this is secure." They did not know, CPS did not let the Aberdeen Police Department know that they moved him from the group home to a foster home and enrolled him in high school.
And what types of freedoms did he have after he did this? You said he was enrolled in high school, which is...
He was put in high school with 1,400 other students, knowing that he was in a premeditated first-degree murder case, rape and assault.
Exposed to all these other individuals.
All these other individuals, and it makes me so angry that they put other children at risk.
If Kamala Harris were here right in this committee hearing today, she was sitting here on the House side, what questions would you have of her?
Well, actually, I would say, well, you can have Walter come live with you, because Kayla was murdered in her own bed. She was sleeping, and she had to wake up to this monster breaking into her room and strangling her with her own phone cord. She can have him.
But she won't.
Of course she don't want them in her house, but she's all for him, and it's not a joke. I would tell her, this is not a joke. You're laughing. These are real people, real children who had lives and was taken from them in the worst way.
Thank you for that. Ms. Moore, I want to turn to you. In your testimony, you talked about how the Border Patrol let a man with an open Interpol warrant for murder enter our country. Do you feel safe under the broader policies of the Biden-Harris administration?
Mr. Fry, Mr. Morton stepped away.
Stepped away. Well, any of you, do you feel safe under the Biden-Harris policies?
No, they chose to give people that have never contributed to our country the possibility of a better life while making the lives of the citizens worse, while risking public safety. They gambled because it's not their lives to gamble with. They have their private security. They have bulletproof car vehicles. They live in gated communities. What about everybody else? that has to live with these individuals in their communities. And going back to the case of Maria Gonzalez, her neighbor was one of those individuals that was brought here. He was an unaccompanied minor, and ironically, since he left his town in Guatemala, the murders of little girls stopped.
You know, it's remarkable to me, and I hear, I was listening in my office or listening to the commentary on the other side. I'm happy to work on securing the border. But every time that we have come forward with a bill or a policy initiative to do that, that you actually secure the border, that you stop the flow of people who don't know why they're in the country, that we stop the criminals from coming into the country, they don't engage. They shut down debate. They say we're engaged in conspiracy theories. In fact, you know what's so strange? The first hearing, one of the first hearings that I was ever in this room, the ranking member said that we were imagining a border crisis. That is insanity. Y'all are living this every single day, and there are millions of people who are in your shoes. Thank you for your bravery today. Thank you for being here. And we will be praying for you and with you and continuing to push this and make sure that we can secure our borders. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Ruley.
So I spent 6 years in the Ohio Senate, and I'm only in my 3rd month in Congress.